Hi everyone, welcome back to the Relax and Craft YouTube channel. My name's Fleur and I'm going to show you today the easiest way to make a nice secure stretchy bracelet. So usually with stretchy bracelets, people are a little bit scared that maybe they're going to break because they are just on an elastic, or that the knot's going to give way because they've only just tied it and there's no glue on it, or they've glued it but they're not sure if it's going to hold. This way is, I think, the easiest way and the most secure way of doing stretchy bracelets. And it also has a hidden knot, so you don't have to cover the knot with any jump rings or a crimp cover or anything like that. And it's the way that I've made my two bracelets that I wear all day, every day. I never take them off. Even when I go in the sea or in the swimming pool, they stay on, which I don't suggest because you're not really supposed to wear your jewellery in the swimming pool. But I do it. Do as I say, not as I do. That's the one, isn't it? So I've got some materials here. So we're going to need some elastic. I've got 0.6 elastic here, but a 0.5 will also work. I've got some little spacer beads. And I've got these beautiful American picture jasper that I got from Charmers Gems. So these are absolutely stunning. They are an 8mm round. They are beautiful. All the colours are just so gorgeous. And out of this one strand, I should be able to make 2 full stretchy bracelets. So it's a very this material is very cost effective. It's quite a relatively inexpensive material. If anybody wants to know a little bit more about Charmers Gems, it is charmersgems.com. But they do have weekly live sales on Instagram and on Facebook, sometimes on TikTok as well. So I'll add all their details below in the description. So if you want any gemstones, they're your people to go to, because Marie Chalmers, who is the owner of Charmers Gems, is a gemologist, and she's one of the UK's top gemologists. So everything goes through strict quality control with Marie, and you know you're getting absolutely beautiful gemstones every single time you order. So let's get started. The other few things that I've got here, which I went through those bits. These bits here, I've just got a little bead stopper. If you haven't got one of those, don't worry. If you've got a peg or something like that, that will be fine. If not, just a little bit of sellotape over the end of your elastic will stop all your beads falling off. I've got a pair of scissors just to cut the elastic, and then this is going to be the sort of like star of the show. This is just some normal beading thread. So it's just, in this case, it's a white beading thread. So it's just a normal standard, I think it's 0.38 beading thread. Now you do have to make sure that your beads will go over 2 pieces of beading thread, and that they will go over 2 pieces of elastic as well. I've checked all these and they go over perfectly. So what we need to do, if I just clear down some of these elements, the first thing we need to do is we need to take our elastic, and like I say, this is a 0.6 elastic. It's a round elastic, but you can use flat elastic as well if you've got that. So let's take it out of the container, and what we're going to need is we're going to need at least 2 lots of the finished length of bracelet that we want. So if we're making a 7-inch bracelet, we need 14 inches. I would always add on a couple of inches as well. This is a nice, it's not expensive elastic, so you do tend to get quite a lot on a reel. So we do need 2 lots to be able to go around. If you're measuring it for yourself, then you can just simply measure it like so. But I'm just going to take this much, I'm going to cut that away, and then I can place my elastic back in the container so that it doesn't unravel on me. I will put details of the elastic as well, because that is from my website, but I'll put all the details below. So then what we want to do is we want to take our beading thread, and we're going to use the beading thread as a needle. So we're going to place the beading thread onto the elastic. So you can see there we've got beading thread and then straight onto our elastic, like so. And then make sure that you've got equal amounts all the way down. And then I'm just going to put my bead stopper on the end, just so that it keeps those two ends. Oops. And if you don't know what bead stoppers are, they're just like these little springs that you can see they acts as like a little stopper then. So then what we can do is we can start actually beading our design up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly switch to a black board so you can see easier, because obviously clear elastic and white beading thread is not a good idea on a white board. I'll be back in a second. Okay then, now that's easier to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to start adding our design onto our beading thread. Now I always start with a gemstone because that's where we're going to put the knot underneath, and then I quite like the look of these little gold spaces, so I think that would look quite a nice design. So you can just pick your gemstone combination or whatever you're going to use. I'm going to just quickly thread up my whole design, and it's quite easy for you because you haven't tied anything in a knot at this point. You've not used any sort of like finding. So if you don't like the design that you're making, you just take the end off and start again. So I'm going to carry on adding my gemstones and my little spacer beads till I've got a bracelet length. So I need to make sure that it's the correct bracelet length, and don't forget with a stretchy bracelet we want it to go all the way around our wrist, and have a little bit of looseness on there, so it can't be too tight. So when you're measuring, just wrap around your wrist and then just give it a few extra centimetres, just so it sits nice and loose on your wrist and it's not too tight. So I've got my design all finished and it fits around my wrist beautifully. So when I pop it together, that's about the size of my wrist that I'm looking for. And I finished off with one of my little gold beads so that when we do connect this together, it is a seamless design all the way through. So I'm just going to move those out of the way. I'm just going to zoom you in just a little tiny bit. But can we just take a moment to appreciate just how beautiful those gemstones are? Completely natural, those gemstones as well. Absolutely beautiful. The American picture jasper. It's just stunning, it really is. I think I might be getting a few more of those strands. So what we want to do now is we're going to just push our beads to the end of the loop. So we've got the needle still attached, and I just want just a little tiny loop at the end there of elastic, and then coming around to the end that's got the two loose ends, I'm going to remove my bead stopper and I'm going to place just one of those cords through the loop. Now I will just bring that a little bit closer for you so you can see what I've done. So I've just taken one of the cords and I've placed it through the loop of elastic. So not the needle, just the loop of elastic. So I can now take away that piece of beading thread and obviously keep that for another one of your knotting pieces. Sorry, not knotted, elastic pieces. So now what we have is we have the loop attached to one side and we have the other side, the other loose end coming out the end bead. And again, I'm just going to push all these beads down until that loop has disappeared. Okay, so I'm just tightening everything up, just making sure that the loop has almost disappeared now, and I've got both of my beads quite close to each other. So you can just spend a little bit of time just making sure that that's nicely together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie just a series of overhand knots, so just like you would tie a normal knot, just tying it, bringing it down and making sure you give it a really good pull, and again tie again, and I'm going to do a good 3-4 knots. But what's happening is the knots are coming along the elastic rather than knotting into one big lump. So they're creating a long thin knot. So every time I knot, those knots are sitting on top of each other in a line rather than as one big knot. And then all I want to do is just simply pop it inside that very first bead. So I'm just going to wiggle it and pull it through, and now all we've left with are our two ends that are coming out of the bead, but you can see we don't have that knot at all on show. If you wanted to, for belt and braces, you could pop a little bit of glue on there. So if you want to pop that back out, you can do, and then just using something like a precision glue, like a hyper cement glue. Don't use a super glue because that will rot your elastic. Just struggling to get the lid off mine. There we go. So when I say precision glue, then it has this tiny little needle applicator. So it's a lot easier just to really place the glue where you want it. So just a little dab of glue onto that knot. Try not to get it on the gemstone. And then we'll just leave that for a minute just to dry. And I'll just pop the lid back on the glue. Now, in an ideal world, we'd let that dry completely, but just for time constraints, I'm just going to pop that knot back into that bead. So all I'm going to do is just push the bead over the top of the knot, give it a little wiggle, and now, again, like I say, you would let these dry, so I would probably leave that overnight, like so, just to dry, but just for the demo purposes, I'm just going to trim those two away and just tidy up any little bits of glue that are left on there. Just pull that tiny little bit of elastic back inside, and yeah. So now we have our beautiful stretchy bracelet, which is doubly secure because we've got double the amount of elastic going through it. So it's really nice and secure. And when we want to wear it, the easiest way to place on a stretchy bracelet is to roll it onto your wrist. And there you go. You have got yourself a really stunning 360 gemstone bracelet without having to hide the knot under a crimp or a jump ring or anything like that. It's perfect. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this short tutorial on how to create these gorgeous little stretchy bracelets with the hidden knots. I would love it if you could drop me a comment, maybe like this video, maybe share it with any of your beady friends, your gemmy friends, or your jewellery making friends. And if you could subscribe to my channel, it really does help. Thanks for watching.